Good evening to all of you. I would like to welcome all the investors and analysts on this conference call. Hope you got a bit of time to look at the detailed numbers as well as the presentation that was released. Q1 of FY21 was a challenging quarter, marred by the national lockdown as well as smaller localized lockdowns affecting our business through constrained toll collections as well as lack of construction. As the intensity of lockdown and associated restrictions are being relaxed across the country now, we are witnessing an equally strong recovery and expect to achieve normalcy in coming months. We have achieved above 80% recovery levels year-on-year in the month of July for our toll collections across projects, and our construction sites are gradually moving towards the desired momentum. Closure of the private InvIT deal with GIC affiliates as well as the Mumbai-Pune TOT win has provided us with a strong balance sheet and financial footing well in time to take on the lockdown impact without much pressure. Given the challenges, our business strategy today needs to calibrate both the long-term and short-term strategy. Considering the same broad strategy we have charted is as follows. For the long term, as regards protecting the long-term value of assets, the same will be achieved with extension in concession period granted by NHAI. The moratorium granted by banks will also push down the repayment to a later date, thus helping the NPV. Cumulatively, the NPV is likely to remain unaffected due to these measures. So looking at current quarter post adjusting for the compensation as per concession agreement, we would be at a net profit of 54 crores versus a loss of 30 crores as reported for now, as we have excluded compensation income following prudent policy of revenue recognition. A better and more relevant variable to track our performance would be the cash profit, which even with current pressures has remained positive at 206 crores. And as we move towards regaining the pre-COVID levels of business activity in coming months, the revenues are likely to get stronger and result in PAT becoming positive at the earliest. While we talk for short term now, while keeping in mind the long-term objectives, we cannot ignore the short-term compulsion. To cater to the same, liquidity was a critical factor. In the past 3 months, we have worked closely with our bankers to ensure that we raise sufficient cash, considering the fact that significant amount of cash on hand was to get deployed for Mumbai-Pune, and we have remained fairly successful in the same. Following this strategy, IRB today is sitting on a strong cash balance of over 2,000 crores, fairly comfortable to compete and take up new BOT projects coming up for bidding. NHAI has lined up a 9,300 crore worth of BOT pipeline and 1,30,000 crores worth of HAM projects for the balance of FY21. This opens up a large opportunity for us, and we would target to win anywhere between 7 to 10,000 crore worth of orders from this particular pipeline. We have recently been awarded HAM projects totaling up to 1,755 crores in the state of Gujarat along the proposed Baroda-Mumbai Expressway, thus taking the order book to approximately 12,900 crores, 2.6x of previous year's revenues. Given the financial and operational capabilities, we plan to participate in all viable upcoming BOT bids and also in select TOT and HAM projects going forward to shore up the order book further. We continue to excel on quality of projects, and 9 of our projects have received excellent ratings by NHAI as a part of their drive started recently to monitor and improve quality of highways. Projects are assigned weighted score under 3 categories: highway efficiency, highway safety, and user services. Resulting combined score is used to provide overall rating, where as of now 9 of our projects have received an excellent rating and evaluation of few others is still underway. With this, I would now request Anil to take you through the financial analysis before the Q&A session. Over to you, Anil.
Thank you, sir. I will present the financial analysis of Q1 of FY21 versus Q1 of FY20. Total consolidated income for Q1 of FY21 has decreased to 1,073 crores from 1,821 crores, a decline of 41%. Total consolidated toll revenue for Q1 of FY21 has also decreased to 291 crores from 627 crores for Q1 of FY20, decreased by 54%. Consolidated construction revenue for Q1 of FY21 has decreased to 782 crores from 1,194 crores over Q1 of FY20, declined by 34%. Both construction revenue and the tolling revenue has been declined due to the COVID-related lockdown, and there was almost 20 days complete closure of the toll. EBITDA for Q1 of FY21 has decreased to 529 crores from 904 crores, a decline by 41% in Q1 of FY20. Interest cost almost remained the same at rupees 366 crores. Depreciation in line with the revenue has also reduced from 154 crores to 84 crore rupees. And PBT has also decreased to 79 crores from 387 crores. Post-tax, post-share of the loss from the JV, loss for Q1 FY21 is 30 crore rupees. Now I will provide the key financial numbers. Gross debt is roughly 14,350 crores. Cash is approximately 2,100 crores. Net debt is approximately 12,000 crores. Net worth is around 6,800 crores. And net debt to equity is approximately 1.75:1. Now I will request the moderator to open the session for question and answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. The first question is from the line of Teena Varmani from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. I have one or two questions. One is actually related to the MRM and standalone business because after going through the annual report, the debt at MRM and standalone level has moved up in FY20. And there was a sharp movement from the levels of FY19. So what were the reasons for that? Was there any incremental loans and advances given to any SPVs because of which the debt had moved up, and correspondingly there is a movement in the net working capital also at MRM plus standalone level? And how do you see the debt reduction for the standalone business going forward?
With respect to increase in the debt at MRM level and IRB level, there was debt extended by the Mumbai-Pune SPV to IRB, and the same SPV also at the time of when GIC has extended 700 crores, 700 crores NCD was subscribed by Modern Road Makers also. So to that extent, the loan was extended by Mumbai-Pune, old Mumbai-Pune SPV to the MRM. Accordingly, we have seen an increase in the debt profile of the IRB and MRM both put together. But if you look at the external debt of IRB or MRM as on 31st March 2020, that was at similar level what it was last year.
No, sir. For FY20, it has witnessed an increase.
There
if you
would
take
be
into account.
Basically, if you remove the borrowing if you remove the internal borrowing, there has been increase, but increase was not that sharp.
I think effectively it was a surplus fund moving from one SPV to another, that is from the old Mumbai-Pune SPV to MRM.
Okay. So that was the borrowing given from Mumbai-Pune to IRB, to standalone or to MRM.
Yeah, that's correct. So it was not a third-party debt increase within the group.
Okay. And going ahead, you expect a level similar to FY19 level for standalone?
Yeah, so that particular NCD was subsumed after the GIC transaction went through, and accordingly this particular debt has also been reversed after that.
Okay. Okay. So for FY21, it will come down.
Yes.
Okay. And my next question is related to, although Mr. Anil had clarified on this, but a little bit more clarification would be really helpful. There is one amount of 31 billion as part of other non-current financial assets, which is basically the deferred consideration towards sale of subsidiaries. So can you elaborate a bit more as to who is going to pay this amount to IRB and by when it is expected to come?
Which subsidiary?
Basically, it's with respect to the receivable from the trust. So basically, earlier, whatever the unsecured loan or sub-debt was infused by IRB, that used to be recoverable from the SPV. On transfer of the SPV to the trust, as per the InvIT regulation, all the rights and all the liability of the sponsor needs to be transferred to the trust. Accordingly, whatever the sub-debt and the unsecured loan was extended, to the extent units were not issued, those are shown as receivable from the trust. Once the SPV receives funds from the NHI, the trust will pay it back to the IRB.
So effectively that means that when the GIC transaction took place, by that time IRB had infused more than the required amount into the SPVs. Now after GIC deal, the stake of IRB got reduced to 51%. So that incremental amount is going to come back from the trust to IRB. Is that what is the understanding?
Yeah, so effectively what happens is there are several receivables, like there are claim debts, there are change of scope debts, change of scope payment which has to come. So as Anil explained, originally when the SPV was 100% belonging to IRB, this was in the form of sub-debt extended by IRB to the SPV. Now the same stands receivable from the trust.
Okay. Okay. Right. Got it, sir. That's it from my side.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Mohit Kumar from IDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So, thanks for the opportunity and congratulations on a good quarter given the challenging environment. Sir, my first question is what is the kind of extension expected in Mumbai-Pune concession agreement, and is there any upper limit to the extension here? Do you think this will be NPV neutral for us?
So, Mohit, good evening. For the period prior to the financial closure, whatever was the compensation element, it was around 70 crore rupees. So there was an element of interest that was supposed to be paid to MSRDC. So they have reduced the amount by 70 crores to begin with. So that part of compensation has already been received and adjusted against the amounts that were supposed to be paid to them. As regards extension is concerned, for the period beyond the financial closure, the contract has the same clause as NHI, which says that till the time we achieve 90% of the previous collections, to that extent, there will be a concession period extension. It's a very similar NHI kind of a clause. And to that effect, the MSRDC has already issued a letter confirming this arrangement that they will be extending the concession period depending on when we are finally able to achieve the final levels of up to 90% revenue that we were collecting earlier. So yes, there is an affirmative confirmation from MSRDC. This was something which was very much critical for us to give comfort to the bankers when we paid the upfront money, and this has been confirmed by MSRDC in writing. So depending on when we reach back the pre-COVID normal revenue level, depending on that, the extension will finally be worked out. So part of the consideration, as I said, to the extent of 70 crores has been cash settled. So balance exact compensation number of days will be worked out, and then MSRDC will confirm the same as well. So once we reach that level, I think that would be the right time to calculate how much days have gone by, and to that extent we can get it. But I expect that it should be minimum 90 days.
Understood, sir. And secondly, on the construction activity level across our road projects, how far we are, are we facing any challenges? And if you start to compared to normal activity level, where we are right now, and when do you expect the 100% ramp up to happen?
So the activities definitely remains under some kind of a challenge project to project, but good amount of labor has come back. Things have started to stabilize quite well, and construction is gathering momentum. So maybe in another month or two, once the monsoons are behind us, it should further gather pace.
So what kind of run rate one can look forward? A monthly run rate once the normal level is achieved?
A monthly run rate, in a sense, it's difficult to give you a number right now because we keep facing local lockdowns at times. I mean, last month in the middle of nowhere, we had 15 days lockdown at Bhilwara, which houses two of our Rajasthan projects. So right now, I wouldn't like to state any number as such, but with labor force back in place, all the raw material available, I think the normal run rate, whatever we had been clogging, I think we should be able to go back to that if there are no hindrances.
Understood, sir. Last question, is there any update on IRB Ahmedabad Vadodara arbitration which you can share?
I think the status is largely unchanged. There is no negative cash flow. The stay continues. Arbitration panel likely to get decided very soon. The court has reserved the judgment. We expect the presiding arbitrator to be announced any time, post which the arbitration proceedings will commence, and there is a very clear caveat which says that till Section 17 under the arbitration is decided, the present relief that has been given will continue, and no coercive action can be taken by NHAI against the project.
Understood, sir. Thank you, sir. Best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vibhor Singhal from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, sir. Thanks for taking my question. So just news from my side. So just a small clarification from your side. You mentioned that on the Mumbai-Pune TOT, we will have an extension up to the period that we reach 90% of traffic levels. So the NHAI formula of minimum 3 to maximum 6 months of extension, that is not applicable to this Mumbai-Pune TOT, right?
No, I didn't get it.
So the NHAI is basically again extending the tolling period, concession period for all the BOT projects by a minimum of 3 months and a maximum of 6 months.
Got it. So you're saying minimum 3 months what NHAI has declared?
Yeah, exactly.
Industry guideline. So Vibhor, what has happened here is during that particular relief from NHAI is for the total impact. In case of MSRDC, for the total lockdown period of 24 days, they have already cash compensated. So that part will have to be deducted when working out the final compensation. Hence, I did not give a minimum number.
So that 24 days was the 70 crores which they waived off.
Yeah, that 70 crores, whatever is the total compensation, that 70 crores will define the number of days extension that will be privy to.
Fair enough. That's great to hear, sir. Secondly, sir, in the order book that I see right now, so excluding the O&M projects, our order book of the ongoing construction part, EPC part, is around 5,700 crores. This includes the 1,700 crore of the new hand that we have won?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So, sir, assuming it takes, let's say, 2 or 3 months to do financial closure, then NHAI takes its own sweet time as usual to give us the AD, the remaining 4,000 crores of order book, which is under construction, will it get completed, let's say, in the next 18 to 24 months?
No, I think much earlier to that. So, if I look at the order book X the new order, then the balance order book has to be consumed in, say, 5 to 6 quarters. And this particular award, which is part of the Baroda-Mumbai Expressway, I think don't have any land acquisition issues on this particular alignment. It's a greenfield highway that is to be built, which is a 6-lane highway, and the length is only 23 kilometers. The cost is higher because it's a concrete pavement 8-lane expressway. Land as such not being an issue, and financial closure moving at a good pace, we should be in a position to start construction on this project by November. So we would have around 5 months of construction period available in this financial year, which should give you a good at least anywhere between 20 to 30% of progress in this financial year itself on this particular order.
Sure, sir. So putting all this together, any number that you can help us with kind of top line we are looking for the PTC segment for this year?
That would be a little difficult to give a specific number, but as I said, except for the new order, the order book is to be consumed in 5 to 6 quarters. And this order, you can expect 25 to 30% progress getting achieved in the first 5 months starting November.
Sure, sir. So that's great. Anil, sir, if I can just have one bookkeeping question. At the end of this quarter, Q1, what was the debt at the MRM plus standalone level?
So basically, MRM and standalone level, including the overdraft, basically the debt was rupees, just a second, it was close to 4,000 crores and cash was roughly 2,100 crores.
So 4,000 crores is pretty much the same as it was in March also.
No, I think March it was, the number would have been lower, including OD, the debt would have been 4,000 crores. So basically, if I include the OD also, it's a 4,600 crores. OD
right now, including the OD? Okay, so right now, including OD, the debt is 4,600 crores.
4,600 crores. And
this was the same number?
Cash balance of 2,100 crores.
Sure, sir. So, and you expect this 4,600 crores to probably come down, as Tina asked in the earlier question?
I don't think so. It will increase significantly going forward.
Okay. Might remain stable at these current levels.
Yes.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for taking my questions. I'll come back in the queue if I have anything more.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prem Khurana from Anand Rathi. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for taking my question, sir, and congratulations on decent set of numbers in this kind of challenging environment. Sir, my first question was with respect to our BOT toll project, which was annulled recently. I mean, I think in your opening remarks, you said there are almost around 9,300 crore worth of BOT toll projects in the pipeline. But then so if I were to look at this, the project which was annulled, it seems that when the government is still not come to the terms that the market is such that there could be a situation wherein the projects would not fetch the kind of price that they were anticipating before COVID. So, I mean, though there is pipeline, but then what is the probability that these would come out? Because seems as if, either they would have to change their expectations, or looks as if, they don't intend to kind of give out projects at the kind of price that you bid these days.
We have the same set of information that you have, Prem. So whatever formal comments NHAI has been giving out, we are repeating the same. So the 9,300 crore number is a NHAI / MORTH number that we have heard of. Now, whether those projects will meet their expectations or not, or how will they decide to navigate them further, is something which we will also have to see. But one thing I feel for sure is that given the financial constraints, considering the fiscal deficit and COVID situation, I think encouraging more private investment will be something that the government will be mindful of. And if that has to be achieved, then to encourage more private investment, BOT will be the way forward.
And the second was, I think if you could share your thoughts on toll collection numbers post this quarter. So June, I understand we've already done almost around 80% reached almost around 80% kind of number in terms of when number compared to last year. How is the traffic in the month of July and August? Have you seen further uptake, or it is still at the same number that we've seen in the month of June?
See, it depends project to project. Certain projects have even reached the pre-COVID level. Certain projects it is 90%. Certain projects it is lower at 65, 70% or 75, 80%. But broadly, if you ask me, it's reached 80% level is on the year-on-year basis. And if I have to compare with say February, March of this year, then still above 70% is how I'll put it.
Sure. And similar would be the profile for our private InvIT projects that we recently transferred?
Yes, across the portfolio is how I would put it.
Sure. And Anil sir, just one question if you would help me with. So this quarter we booked almost around 290 odd crore rupees of other income. I mean, total income is what we've shown in our segment reporting. How much would be other income in this?
Approximately other income will be basically 30 crores. 30 crores will be the other income.
Sure. So 260 odd crores essentially you're implying, I mean, is pure toll collection. When I look at the...
There will be other operating income also to the extent of 68 crore rupees. Basically, other income is 30 crores, other operating income is 68 crores, balance is the toll revenue.
Oh, okay. Okay, 68 crore. I mean, would you be able to share the nature of this other operating income? What exactly is this?
Yes, similar to what we have explained in the public trust, that there is a remission of the liability because we have created a amount payable to the NHAI with respect to the premium for entire concession period. And as per circular, NHAI has basically the liability is extinguished to the extent of 68 crores. That is predominantly for the project Ahmedabad-Vadodara. So whatever the liability is extinguished, that is shown as other operating income. The same treatment what we have followed during the demonetization.
And this would persist till the time you reach that old number in terms of when you return to normalcy, because there's revenue loss which you are adjusting is essentially what I understand, right?
Yes.
Okay, sure. And just one more essentially in terms of, so this 24, 25, I mean the sub-debt that we extended to the asset that we transferred to InvIT now, which now reflects as a part of receivables. Are we planning to have this back by this year, and it'll go, I mean the recovery would go to the next year? How does that work?
Some part is expected in this year, but major chunk will be basically over the period of 2 to 3 years. This is what we believe.
Sure. Okay, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Mohit Kumar from IDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Sir, 2 questions. The first, the number you said on the other operating income, which is for extinguishment of liabilities because of lower traffic costs. What was that number?
68 crore rupees.
Okay, understood, sir. Secondly, sir, have we taken moratorium for all our projects, and have we deferred our interest payment during the quarter, or have we met all the interest payment obligations?
We have taken a moratorium during the quarter.
For the interest also? Just payment?
For interest also, yes.
Okay, understood, sir. And so lastly on the, have you seen the BOT, any other BOT award, any other BOT in the pipeline which can get awarded in this particular financial year? Or?
At the moment, there is no BOT right now in the advertisement stage, but they had given a list of 15 projects, so those projects are expected.
In the meanwhile, you'll keep bidding for HAM project. Am I right in understand?
Yes, that is right. See,
understood, sir.
One more advantage the HAM projects will throw is now that we are at a lower end of the interest cycle, the annuity payment which are linked to bank rate plus 3%, I think this becomes a more advantageous time to go out and pick up HAM projects which we were not so much comfortable earlier. So till the time we get some visibility on the BOT side, we would be very much mindful and will bid on HAM projects and try to ensure that the order book and the resources, manpower that we have remain adequately deployed.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1. The next question is from the line of Rohit Natarajan from Antique Stock Broking. Please go ahead.
Thank you for this opportunity. Sir, I just have one sector-specific question, and this is more to do with there were some press news about relaxation of making BOT toll concession agreement much more friendly to developers. This includes even getting away with the COD plus 2 clause, a 2 years clause of you can straight away bring in an investor at the very completion of project, and many other measures. Is there any sanctity to that news that we keep reading? Is there any such policy development that is happening around?
Yeah, that is, what you have heard is right. So there has been definitely a move on this line. Though the final model concession agreement has still not seen the light of the day. But what we also hear is there is a significant progress that has been made. And in light of that, I think going forward, we can expect that particular revised model concession agreement to come out sooner than later.
Okay. No such timelines that you would have in mind, right?
I mean, I think we both have been hearing this particular news for more than a year now.
Okay. Sure, sir. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Alok Deora from Yes Securities. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Just a couple of questions. One was, what kind of order inflows we are looking at for this year, as in combined with the BOT or some of the HAM projects we may look to bag?
See, if we look at the backlog, which has now come down to, I mean, although the overall order book is in the range of 12,000 crores, the pure construction order book is now half of that. And given that fact, we have been mindful and have bid for HAM projects also alongside BOT and TOT. So the endeavor would be to ensure that we get the order book on construction side further ramped up to the extent of 7,000 to 10,000 crores in FY21. So with keeping that ballpark number in mind, we will keep evaluating and bidding on opportunities as they come forward.
Sure, sir. And sir, one more thing you mentioned about the HAM projects. It's the best time to bid because the bank rates are also at the lowest levels. But what we have been hearing is for the past HAM projects that the representations have been made to NHAI to compensate the negative carry to some extent. So just for my understanding, like when it would eventually turn into a positive carry, so would they let the concessioner have that benefit?
I mean, whether such kind of a goalpost shifting can practically be done, I have my doubts because it's a competitively bid out project, and the sheet that NHAI provides is a transparent sheet. Everybody has to plug in his number and play by that sheet. So today, can you really change that? I don't know. I mean, actually speaking, the developer or the contractor who's executing the project is supposed to renegotiate the lending rates with his own lender. Because if NHAI decides to relook at such kind of variation, then the bidding sanctity will be lost, is my own understanding. So it's a welcome move if NHAI does it, but whether they will do it and whether it is a prudent idea, I have my doubts.
Sure, sir. That's all from my side. Thank you and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aditya Mongia from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir, and thank you for the opportunity. My question relates to the kind of income that you expect the trust to generate for yourself in, let's say, a normal year, let's say FY22, in terms of dividends?
Yeah. Aditya, as you know, there are 9 projects which are housed in the private InvIT, which is co-owned by us and GIC affiliates in the range of 5149. Out of these 9 projects, there are 5 projects which are under construction. So what is happening now is post completion of the transaction, the debt on this particular project has now been delivered to the extent of 3,000 crores. So the trust as a whole is generating a good positive cash flow. But there are 5 projects which will continue to be under construction for next 6 quarters. And hence, till the time those projects get fully completed and stabilized, the cash flow generated will be used as an internal accrual by the trust to keep funding those under construction projects as a part of their internal accrual. And once all the project construction gets over, is only after that the distribution will start happening. So to that extent, what is going to happen is our equity commitment will be net of that internal accrual, which will get redeployed to the individual respective shares that both of us have in the trust.
Okay.
So that becomes a more tax efficient structure rather than distributing and again redeploying.
Okay. So you also quote a number of about 1,000 crores of pending equity commitments for the project inside the InvIT. Am I to assume that this can be largely taken up by the internal approvals of the InvIT, or do you expect to be investing some over the next 6 months inside the InvIT as part of the equity commitment?
See, the total outstanding equity commitment for the trust is around 1,100 odd crores.
Yes.
So part of that 51 is around 550 crores is to be pumped in by us. It is a lower number than what we had talked about earlier, because now what will happen is the balance will get refunded because of the deployment which I explained to you. So internal accrual will be redeployed directly by the trust, and net of that, whatever is required, the 500 crores will be put in by IRB as a equity to those projects.
Sure. So it will be useful if you could suggest that once this money has been deployed,
yes,
okay, and that may be FY23, that you would see the benefits of cash flows being generated from the portfolio.
Yeah.
How much would you expect as a dividend kind of coming to you? And I'm just trying to get a sense of your ability to use cash flows over there and redeploy them somewhere else, assuming that the InvIT doesn't grow.
I think the right way to look at it is that, as you rightly said, say by FY23, the project construction would be behind us. All the internal accrual plus the fresh equity would have gone into the project. And you can take another year or so for all the projects to stabilize.
Right.
So from there on, the cash flow distribution meaningfully will start for both the parties. And when we had done the transaction, I'm expecting things to be back to normal before that. So on a normalized basis, if you look at our press releases, which we had given out when the transaction was consummated, over the life of the concession, the surplus cash that the portfolio can generate will be in the tune of 88,000 crores. So 51% of that is what is likely to get attributed to IRB's share. And I mean, yes, it will be 3 to 4 years of stabilization that will go into it because of certain projects that continue to be under construction. But after that, there will be a meaningful pickup in the cash that will keep coming back to IRB year on year.
Okay, fair. That works for me for now. Thanks a lot for your response. Those are my questions.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bharani Vijayakumar from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Just wanted to check what happened with that BOT project we won in West Bengal, which got scrapped by NHAI. I just wanted to find out what was the reason.
Vijay, good evening. Nice speaking to you after a long time. Very good question. Yes, we had bid for the Bengal BOT. It was a 4 to 6 lane project. As you would have surely read that we had emerged as a preferred bidder there, and we had asked for 4.5% grant as against the upper limit of 10% grant that NHAI had fixed. But to our anguish, after a time of around 8 to 10 days, NHAI wrote us back saying they have decided to annul the process without assigning any reason whatsoever. So yes, it was a rude shock, and we were not able to see any logical reason why they should have done this, because some research that we carried out at our end suggested that the DPR, which they had enclosed along with the bid document, talked about a much larger concession, which afterwards they had cut it short to 20 years and 17 years. So whether there was a better price expectation that they had earlier and whether that could not be met and hence they cancelled it, we don't know. But if you ask me in a legal terms, I would say that our bid was very much within the guided numbers that they had given, because they had guided that if we are quoting for a grant, we have to be below 10%. If not, then we can also quote premium. But as the concession period was only 17 years for this particular project where we had emerged as a preferred bidder, we had sort of 4.5% of grant. Now, unhappy with the decision taken by NHAI, we have taken this matter to the court, and a writ petition has been filed against this unjust annulment by NHAI, and the court was pleased to issue notice to NHAI seeking reasons for cancellation of the same, and the matter is sub judice and pending at this point in time.
Right. So, would it be coming back again as a rebidded project, or would the sub judice case be ruled in our favor?
I think only the Honorable Justice can decide on the same, but at this point I can only say that this being a bid matter, I don't think it to get lingered for a longer time. 1 month's time has been given for NHAI to file reply and for us to file counter affidavit if any, and probably the court should decide after that, is my understanding of the case.
No problem, sir. I will get back to you, sir. Thanks.
Thank you. As there are no further questions, I would now like to hand the conference over to Mr. Maheskar for closing comments.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for being there with the call, and we hope that things normalize sooner than later, and hope to catch you all on the next quarterly result when we meet again, and hope to have better environment around us at that time. Have a great evening. Thank you so much.